Isabelle, I want to talk about Elle because it has provoked some controversy. People struggle to fathom the behavior of Michelle, bringing in into her life a rapist. Do you understand that? Do you see the logic behind this controversy, or is it just overdone?
Unexpectedly, I thought the movie wasn't that much controversial. But maybe I haven't talked to the same people as you have.
It's more in America than probably in Europe. But again, yes, people raised the questions. But given what happened in American elections, where women went and voted by high numbers to a man who was accused of being sexist and misogynist, it's kind of supports what happened in the movie.
I don't think so. I think it's completely different. And the movie, by any means, is a statement about, you know, about rape, or legitimizes anything about rape. I mean, it's a movie, it's a story, and it might be very disturbing, but in any case, it says rape is a good thing or whatever, you know.
Tu m'as frappé.
I don't think there is no possible misunderstanding when you watch the movie about this. I think it's more about a feminine empowerment also. The way that woman doesn't want to be a victim, and she wants to take control upon what happens to her. And in order to do so, of course, yes, she does create a kind of strange relationship to that man, and. But then, as the movie goes on, I mean, you guess a lot of things about this woman's life, about this woman's past, the fact that she has her father was a serial killer, and so you understand that that also the fact that this tragedy initiated her life as a child, and so she has a special way to respond to that violence that she finds. But in any case, it says anything else about rape, so let's be very clear about this, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the question that has been raised a lot, talking about rape. And again, most rape victims don't even report their rape. And here we can see she doesn't report it, but out of strength, as you mentioned. But we are used to seeing in movies women who get raped, they seek revenge. That's the reason. I mean, she didn't avenge, she didn't go for revenge.
Yes, because she's more, she doesn't want to be a victim, but she doesn't fall either into the caricature of the classical avenger. She takes a different path to it, and she's more ambiguous and more subtle than this. But again, I don't think that a more, let's say, classical response would be a better way to figure out that case, you know. I think that's the way she reacts is really understandable. I wouldn't say so, because as the story goes, it's more about, you know, guessing things about why she does what she does. But the movie is not only about that, you know. The movie is about so many other things. Why you do certain things, and why you can be attracted to something that you resent, or that you. It says a lot, you know, about the ambiguity of human behavior, and that's all.
Non mais il est fou, j'ai l'habitude, c'est ma spécialité. Tu t'es bien foutu de ce que je pouvais penser, hein. J'étais dans un déni étrange, mais maintenant j'y vois clair.
La plus dangereuse, Michel, c'est tout de même toi.
And this is something I noticed with your characters. You often play these steely characters, even when they face difficulties, as we mentioned. Is it
steely? I wouldn't say so. No.
Stronger female characters. You give them some strength. Even I noticed, like the male characters, they become emasculated around your characters.
No, I wouldn't say emasculated. No, don't worry.
They were much weaker than you in Elle, that's for sure.
Yeah, in Elle, yes, that's for sure. It's a lot. It's about this woman, but it's a lot about the man. You know, the men are in that film. Again, it's a film. You know, it's a fantasy. also the writer, you know, Philippe Jean, when he wrote the book, when the book came out, he said you can also take it almost as a fairy tale, as a imaginary. It's completely imaginary. But of course, the good thing about it is that on one hand it's completely imaginary, on the other hand it's very real also. It's very, very close to what you think reality could be, you know, in the sense that it's never a fictional representation of what you think a strong woman is or men should be, you know. It's so close to reality, so it can be disturbing. But coming back to Elle, yes, the men are, yeah, that's the least you can say. They are most of the time weak. Even when they think they are strong, they are weak. Let's say even the rapist, you know, in fact, you know, is more, he might be weaker than really strong. And that's also...
Oh, he was weaker than her, emotionally speaking,
sure.
yes.
Of course.
This is the interesting, I recall when we watched the movie, people came out and said only French can do something like that, make a movie like that.
Well, that's what Paul says also, yes.
Yes. Do you understand why American actresses didn't want to do this role?
Well, I'm not really interested in really. I'm glad that I did it, and that's all. I have nothing to say about that, except that maybe, you know, I read the book first, and that might, you get a better understanding of the picture when you read the book first. You know, it gives you access to more subtleties, and you know, a script is a rough material in most times, you know, and so I think that it makes a big difference because I was able to read the book myself.
But I see even with the characters you play, like the character in the piano, or Ma Mère, or many of the characters you play, they are quite fearless. You push the boundaries in acting. You take characters fearlessly.
I don't think I push the boundaries. The film pushed the boundaries, but that's what films are made for, you know, just to stir people's mind and to make them think and to question, you know, people, and that's exactly what Elle does in most of the time, I think. It's, yes, it can be disturbing, but it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be done, you know.
But I would give most these characters I saw in your movies, I would give the credit to you because a lot of it is your performance, and you look at you, the way you interpret these characters is quite powerful. So obviously you do the interpretation. I'm looking at you in the movie. Are these the characters you choose yourself for a reason? What motivates you to go and explore those edges of human psyche?
Because these are interesting roles, and in the case of Elle, again, it was also the perspective to work with someone like Paul Verhoeven, because I knew that I was in complete trust with him. I think he doesn't work against women. I was in complete, great complicity with him, and I think he's a great director. And if it wasn't for him, I'm not sure I would have done the film. If he was a less major director, I would have had doubts about doing the film. But because it was him, I knew he would do it well. And as for the role themselves, I think I do them because I don't see them as edgy as you might see them as a spectator. Or as risky. I mean, this kind of vocabulary is out of my field of perception, I have to say. You know, danger, risk, I don't see it like this. I just see it as something quite normal. So I don't see the risk when I do it. So that's why I do it. Otherwise, if I saw the risk, I wouldn't do it.
On devrait être encore ensemble.
Tiens, quelqu'un t'a cabossé ton pare-choc.
Quelqu'un.
Salut.
When you inhabit these characters, where do you get the ideas to create them?
Acting is a difficult process to explain, I think. Just doing certain states of mind and certain situations. It's not even about I'm very reluctant about speaking about a character, for example. It's not even about doing a character. For me, the idea of a character does not exist, you know. A character is an arbitrary invention. You know, it does not exist, so it's not even about that. And it gives you limitations, because if you do a character, so you feel like you have to do certain things, and it's a lot more than this, you know. I want to be more free, and a character puts me in prison. So it's not even about that.
You mentioned Paul, and you work with some of the top directors in the world. How much the director comes into play when you make these decisions about playing a character or entering it?
Well, for example, you know, Paul, he keeps saying, and I can confirm, you know, we never really discussed what we were going to do, you know. We discussed the shoes and the dress and the clothing, which is very important, because these are the first signs, in a way, you give to the audience to make a character, let's say a character, understandable or acceptable, or, you know. But apart from this, we never really discussed. But cinema is like a language. It's a silent language, but it is a language. So you talk through the camera movement, so the way you are filmed, the way the camera goes to you, goes away from you, close to you, and everything, and you are being, you know, taken in a general movement, which makes you do what you do. But we never had a word about what we were doing. What was interesting in that film is, again, the multiple layers, you know, that really define this person. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a lover, she's a woman of power. She's also a woman who all of a sudden takes care of a little bird because she's afraid that the little bird is going to die. I like that very much, you know. She's that. She's all those different persons.
You mentioned that you just explore limitless opportunities when you play a character. You worked in France, of course. You worked here in Hollywood.
You're in love with
Did
him?
they give you this space in Hollywood
just
when
met
you
you.
tried to explore all these
But I'm not
possibilities?
an American actress. I did 5 American films,
When I make mistakes,
and
the time to be
which
big
I'm
ones.
all very proud of the films I've been doing, because they were always great directors like Michael Cimino or Curtis Hanson or David Russell or Al Hartley, and this is all I've been doing in America. So I'm a French actress so far.
But working with the directors here, do they give you the same freedom that you get in?
Yes, in a way, yes, I have to say, because I've worked with those directors with whom I worked. I worked with them in the same way I would work with French directors, in the sense that they are authors in the way we take the word in France. So it was exactly the same.
Je suis désolé.
Et de quoi?
Pour tout à l'heure, chez le marchand de journaux.
Et pourquoi? Pourquoi es-tu désolé? Et de quoi? Ça va pas, ça. Il suffit pas de dire que tu es désolé si je ne sais même pas de quoi.
When I watch French films, there's a lot of dialogue. This is very intellectual dialogue.
What do you mean intellectual?
About philosophy, about psychology. There's a lot of discussions about different things.
I don't think so.
Really? You played a philosophy teacher?
Yes, but it doesn't mean that there are philosophical discussions all the way through. And the way philosophy is being shown in things to come it's very interesting, because it's never really abstract, you know. It's more like to give the way it's very sensual in a way. It's just to, you know, to understand how she relates to the world and how she relates to the beauty of the world, but it's never abstract. It's not something that takes you away from the character. And it's not because you speak about intellectual people that you make and even if it was intellectual, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's not entertaining, you know, for example. You can be intellectual and entertaining and smart at the same time, you know.
It is entertaining. It feels very natural as well. And my question was, do you improvise? when you do these lengthy dialogues?
Well, you know, I worked with the great stage director Bob Wilson, you know, and Robert Wilson likes to say, by definition, acting is improvisation. Now, it doesn't mean that you improvise in the way that people expect you to improvise, like you're making up your own lines and things like this. But by definition, it is improvisation, in the sense that the minute before, you don't know what you are going to do exactly. When I talk to you, I don't know how I'm going to say my next line. It's the same for acting. But most of the time, let's say, to be more precise, no, it's not improvisation. You know, you have dialogues, and you just say the dialogues.
So what is your process of prepping for playing a part?
No process. I don't prepare. I just do it. I just decide to do it. When I decide to do it, I know exactly what I will do. Or I don't have to prepare. It doesn't go through preparation.
You just read the script and you decide how you want to do it, and you go in there and that's it.
What else can you do? Doing movies is just about doing it, about the present time. It's not about... You can prepare and you can think and you can... But it doesn't tell you what's going to happen when the camera is rolling and once the whole thing is being put together by the director. That's different. And doing a movie or doing any role is just to, for me at least, I'm not talking for anybody else, but just to experience that moment when you do it, and that's all.
Isabelle, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.